Hi there, welcome back. Just wanted to do a bit of a race recap on last weekend's ETU uh, Duathlon Championships in Portugal in Cumbria. Um, just flew out Thursday morning. So this was, I suppose, the big A race of the year. Just coming off Powerman about 4 or 5 weeks beforehand, finishing fifth there. So quite a solid result, to be fair. Really pleased with the race. I was looking for a really good performance over in Portugal. So the standard distance race was on the Sunday. So flew out Thursday morning. Flew out from Gatwick, which was a little bit of a trek, to be fair. Booked the flights through Nirvana, which was all fine, but the flight got brought forward quite a bit. So actually flew out at 10 to 7 on Thursday morning. I was working on Wednesday, so I drove down on the Thursday morning to catch the 10 to 7 flight. So left the house at about 1:30, up at 1 o'clock in the morning. So hindsight, maybe won't opt to do that again. However, got down to London about 4 o'clock. First time I've flown with the bike as well, actually. So that was a bit stressful the week before, really, just trying to dismantle the Factor, get it into the bike box. I've actually got an Allen box, tri-specific box, which in theory is supposed to be pretty good and you shouldn't have to dismantle the bike too much. However, I'm about 6 foot, so the bike, the drag to zero bars as well, was a bit of a struggle. So had to turn around the drag to zero bars, which wasn't too complicated. But I had to take the rear mech off, which is a bit of a stress, to be fair. On the way back, actually, though, what I did was I just took the actual little mech hanger that attaches to the frame, like the little black hanger bit. So I took that off, actually, and rather than taking the actual mech out of the frame hanger, I took the actual hanger off itself, which has made it a lot easier on the way back. But yeah, so flight was 10-7. Got on the flight. Flight was pretty good, to be fair. And then we had a transport from flew into Porto, and then had a coach from Porto to Cumbria, where the hotel was, the team hotel. So so I booked all the package through Nirvana. Pretty straightforward. Probably paid a little bit extra, to be fair, but it just took a lot of the pain out of actually booking the first time I've booked the flight with my bike, having the transfers the other end. We then stayed in the team hotel, which was lovely. So sort of arrived. I think we got there. One of the beauties of flying early, we got there about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Didn't realise that actually Portugal was on the same time zone as the UK. So we didn't lose any time on the way out. So once I got there, I actually decided to check into the hotel. I built the bike up. Actually took it down to the mechanic as well, just to check everything was okay. Had the gears slightly adjusted, and then on the sort of Thursday afternoon, and then decided to go for a bit of a run, really, check out a little bit of the run course down by the river, and ran basically about 5.5 miles just straight down the river. And luckily, sort of running straight down the river, actually found a lot of the transition area that they were setting up. Had a bit of a look around there, just had a look at some of the run course, not in too much detail. I actually ran the run course the day after, but on the first day just sort of ran all the way down the river. Found a nice little skate park at the bottom, turned around and sort of ran back. But actually when I ran back, I decided to actually get my numbers, check in, and then spoke to a few people as well. So I think one of the beauties of racing a lot of these GB events, these age group events, is that you meet so many people from racing over the years. One, I suppose you meet a lot of people through sort of the races in the UK, the qualifiers and things like that, but also just people you meet when you're travelling. I've got a lot of the Western Tempo team as well. There's quite a lot of the guys and a couple of the girls there that were racing, so it was good to catch up with them. But bumped into Owen James and his wife Lindsay. Had a bit of a chat with them on the way back. So yeah, so just a really steady run on the Thursday evening. Then had some food in the hotel. So had a nice pasta, nice breads to start with some dips. I think it was and a nice dessert, like a chocolate fondant with sort of ice cream. So yeah, and then tried to get an early night really because I was pretty tired after the long day travel on Thursday. Got up early on the Friday. I wanted to actually run around the run course, so which was 2 sort of 5k loops, basically up and down the river, and pretty straightforward. So I actually ran one full lap of the run course, and did a slightly shorter sort of loop the second, rather than doing the full loop again. But really nice run course, flat, fast, a little bit of cobbles, and then just sort of over a footbridge on the one side, and then over another bridge coming back. So sort of just a basic sort of circular or diagonal, not diagonal, or oblong sort of route really down the river across. So yeah, and then in the afternoon then decided to walk down with my mum, who travelled with me and came and watched. So we went down, walked down the river again into the town really, just have a bit of a look around. Managed to sort of find a really nice sort of spot, not far from the transition, where there was a few bars and restaurants. Managed to get a really nice little pizza, and sort of sat by the river really, just chilling out. Try not to do too much on the Friday. However, yeah, I needed to get some food. Wanted to just scout out some of the areas again, have another look around the transition sort of area. And then on the Friday afternoon, then my friend Pete, he was racing, who doesn't live too far from me, so I think he flew in on the Friday, and then we went out for a bit of a bike recce on the Friday afternoon. The difficulty with some of these courses is that you're sort of trying to do a recce, but some of it was going through the town, so it was a little bit difficult in places. So we just did the back sort of side of the course, the back end of the course, which is in the sort of in a much nicer area. To be fair, it was sort of through not forest, but there was sort of like quite a lot of vegetation and stuff alongside the road that we were riding. So it was really good just to see that sort of part of the course. Like I said, I didn't really ride the bit into the main town, which was a bit busy with traffic, and we just opted to just do the course that was a little bit quieter. And on the Saturday, didn't do too much at all, to be fair. I went out and watched a little bit of the sprint on Saturday morning, mainly the bike leg, which sort of ran or cycled past the back of the hotel where we were staying. So I got up and watched that. Cheered a few of the guys on there, and didn't go down into the town to watch it. I just didn't want to put too much. I didn't want to end up walking too much. So I went and done that, and then just basically chilled out the rest of the day in the hotel, and a bit of a relax next to the pool, which was nice. And just tried to stay off the feet and relax as much as possible. Pin the numbers on. Sort the bike out and just check everything was okay really, and make sure the bag was packed and everything. And then on the Sunday, race day, luckily the race started about 10:30, which was a nice time. However, it was a little bit warmer than perhaps if we were starting at sort of 7-8 o'clock like the sprint guys did on the day before. So the race started at 10:40. There was a few waves off before us. I think 20 to 39 guys were off quite early on, like 10 o'clock, and then I can't remember if there's a couple of female waves as well in between. My wave, which started at 10:40, which was the 40 to 49 wave. So I was really looking for a good race. I think unfortunately I've had a bit of a flare up with my colitis over the last 6-7 weeks. It sort of started in and around the Powerman race. I don't think it really does affect my performance too much. However, it does affect sort of my training and a bit of sleep. Just having to get up, go to the toilet, and it can be a bit of a challenge sometimes, especially on the early morning run sessions. But so when I'm racing, when I've got a bit of a flare with my colitis, I end up having to just take some Imodium just to make sure that everything sort of settles and I can sort of get through the race. So I was a little bit apprehensive about whether that was not having any flares for nearly 4 or 5 years now. I was a little bit worried about racing with that, but had a couple of Imodium, and yeah, generally that does just settle the stomach for when I'm racing. So the race, first 10k, actually was, normally those sorts of courses really suit me, but the first 10k was actually quite a challenging 10k in some ways. Although it's a flat, fast sort of course, I tried to sort of go a bit steady, sort of the first mile, just hang off the guys at the very front, just make sure I wasn't going out sort of 5:05, 5:10 pace, and just try and run around a 5:30, 5:35 miling, just to try and run a little bit even split. So I sat off a group of about 4 or 5 guys, just sat off the back of them and tried to work my way through. And I was running I started and I felt pretty good through 5k, again running quite well. I think I have a tendency for some reason, sort of miles sort of 5 to 6, just whether it's psychological, whether it's just, I'm not sure why, but yeah, from about 4.5, 5 mile, I seem to lose the pace a little bit. A few guys came past me, and I just lost a little bit of time on that sort of 5th and 6th mile. I'm not really sure why that is, but I don't know whether it's just a psychological thing, just not pushing through. My bike's improved quite a lot over the last few years, and I just wonder whether it's also maybe I'm just thinking just save a little bit for the bike. I'm not sure, but something I need to work on really in terms of that area, sort of 5th and 6th mile on the run, and also maybe the first mile out after transition as well. So in the end, yeah, I'm not sure from a split wise where I came in. I think I was probably around the sort of 4th or 5th place, possibly off the first run, and I was a little bit worried about how the legs were going to feel on the bike once I got onto the bike. But I got through transition pretty swiftly, got onto the bike, and there was a bit of an incline out of the transition. Went well. There's a bit of an incline as you come out of the transition. First sort of 2 or 3 mile into the ride, actually there's a little bit of an incline. I rode up past Andy Neese, who'd sort of come past me on the bike. I rode up past him pretty much on the first incline, and then sort of tried to get into my rhythm. And it's actually quite technical, to be fair, quite a few islands, more technical than I thought, actually riding through the town. So yeah, I think having the disc brakes on the Factor really helped through the technical areas, and yeah, it was more tricky than I actually thought it was going to be. But yeah, I rode pretty well through the first sort of section, and then caught up with a few of the other guys that had just come past me in the last sort of mile of the run as well, and sort of tried to get into the flow really. Just made sure I was bringing the shoulders in, really tucking into the aero position, and starting to just plug away really. It was helpful having a few of the other sort of age groups off in front of us. Was managed to catch a few people, catch some of the ladies as well that were off before us, and it just gave me some targets to hit as I was cycling. So I'd sort of rode really well, I think, in terms of the first sort of 20k. Had an Austrian guy that was sort of sitting on my back wheel. Although he wasn't drafting, I sort of felt like maybe a tactical error from myself, that actually I felt like I was doing a lot of the work on the group, or between me and the Austrian guy, especially into the second lap. And actually in hindsight, I wish I'd have just pulled over a little bit and let him do some of the, although there was no drafting, sometimes just sitting 12-13 metres back, somebody else doing the pacing, can sometimes it sort of mentally actually gives you a bit of a break. So but yeah, we sort of came into the second transition. I caught a little bit of time up on Owen James, who sort of had a really good run, and he sort of ran away from me, to be fair, in the first run. But to be honest, we came into transition and I wasn't too far off the back of him, so I knew I'd had a pretty good bike, to be fair. I was thinking that we might have rode some time into me, to be fair. Post race day we were both saying that probably our power was probably a bit down on where we would normally expect, and I think actually speaking to quite a few people after the race, I don't know whether it was the weather or whether it was just the course with a bit of the technical stuff, actually we probably didn't, power wise, probably didn't put out as much as we thought, although the split was close to 25 mile an hour. I think it was about 24.8 or something like that, so pretty good split, to be fair. But I think there's quite a technical bit through the town, a couple of inclines that were actually quite good little hilly sections, to be fair, which sort of took that little impetus out of the bike. So but yeah, generally pretty good as I came in. I'd sort of worked away, put a bit of a gap into people behind me. The Austrian guy actually came past me on the last section. As we came into transition, we had to go down a sort of a cobbled road, so getting my feet out to put those onto the top of the shoes, he actually got away from me and probably put 10-15 seconds into me, which is a bit of a shame really, because I was riding well up until that point, and a little bit of an error there in terms of just let him go. Unfortunately, then getting onto the final run, he'd sort of got a bit of a gap of about 30 seconds. So I was trying to work hard on the final 5k to pull that guy back. I didn't know whether I was in 5th, 4th. So working pretty hard. Tried to get some water and some stuff down me on the final run, which was quite difficult, to be fair. There's a couple of errors, I think, in terms of the organisation, especially on the feed stations, like the area where you needed to litter was so short after they actually picking up your nutrition or a drink, you couldn't really get much down without being penalised. So I managed to just get some water down, but not too much. I always find it quite difficult drinking from the bottles on the run as well, something perhaps I need to work at. But yeah, I managed to pull back some seconds on the way out, the first sort of 2k, but coming back into town, working pretty hard, to be fair, but struggled to close anymore. Had a good gap behind me in terms of no one really close to me. Probably put a lot of time into people on the bye. Yeah, so final into the final sections, really working hard, and ended up with a 4th place. So pretty pleased, I think. I was 20 seconds off the podium, couldn't quite get back to the Austrian guy. I think I made a little bit of an error coming into the transition, but even so, I think I raced pretty well. So all in all, pretty pleased with the performance, and looking forward to, I suppose, just getting some extra work in now. Looking forward to hopefully racing again soon. Not really sure what I'm going to be doing. So yeah, so in reality, I think I was really hoping to get on the podium and maybe a chance of winning, but beaten by quite a few good guys on the day. The gold and silver were gone, bronze was nearly there, so another top 5 in an international race. So the last 4 races I've done internationally, I've finished top 5 in my age group, so pretty pleased with that. So yeah, so that's a bit of a recap of the race. Yeah, hope you like the video. Like and subscribe. Leave any comments below. Those of you who raced, hope you had a good one, and look forward to hopefully seeing you all soon on the start line.